Hello, this afternoon I'm going to be getting some wood for some chair legs. I've got a nice log that I've been splitting and I'm going to do some further splits to get this material. I've got some good steel wedges. These you have to be careful of because they can splinter around the top, but once they get a bit flattened with a hammer. So I always keep them quite well ground to stop bits of metal flying off. As well as these wedges, I also have this old-fashioned tool called a froe, which is very useful once you get a split on a larger log, just to try and encourage it to go in the right direction. So you can actually put it in the split and twist it to keep the split going down the centre of the log. The log I've got is an ash log. It's the same one I was using to get the arms of the chair. It's not a bad log. I mean, looking at the outside, the bark is quite straight, it's not waving. If you get a log with wavy bark, it probably means the grain inside the log is actually twisted and it's not very good. But this one, it's got a nice straight bark on it. Looking at the log overall, it's fairly straight. Not perfect, but it's not bad. Unfortunately, it has got one or two knots where there were branches earlier on, and they will cause some difficulty when it comes to splitting. So this is, as I say, the one I split earlier, which I used for the arms of the chair. And you can see here the actual heart of the log waves a bit off centre. So not perfect, and also the actual surface, it goes in and then up and out, so it is a bit wavy. So a good log, but not perfect. Best logs generally, I find, tend to grow where they're fairly so close in to other trees, so they rush for the light and grow quickly. And possibly the best place is in a quarry where there's a bit of a dip and the trees are really struggling to get the light and therefore growing upright and very quickly. What you don't want so much are logs perhaps or trees which are grown on the side of hills, because very often they then twist as they grow and go sort of bent, and you can see the bark's twisted and they're not such good logs. This particular log's been lying for about 9 months now, so it's getting a bit older than I'd find ideal, but it's okay. It's got a few check marks from splits, and you can see the centre of the log is slightly off centre, so as I say, it's a good log but not ideal or not completely perfect, but it's still a very nice log, and I've been very pleased with this log actually. Going to start by putting a split down the thicker end, the butt end of the log with one of my wedges, and I've got a couple of hammers here. Got a smaller club hammer. I'm going to try a smaller wedge actually, because this log's dried out a bit I think from what it was, and it's getting a bit more tough to start. Right, a small wedge is in and the split has suddenly started to come in, so that's great. There's plenty now to open up. Okay, the split's going quite nice and straight down the middle of the log. If it was deviating, I'd use my froe and actually then put it in the slot and push it in the opposite direction to the split to actually recorrect the split, and that would do it. On smaller logs, if I was just doing like a 2-foot billet, it's easier actually just to whack the froe with a mallet and start the split and then twist it to make your split go down the log. But as it's quite a big heavy log, this one, I'm using the wedges. So I'm going to start, or carry on going down this log. You can hear the wood, it's sort of cracks. It has quite a satisfying crack noise as it splits. I generally find actually for a log of this sort of size, the smaller wedges are better because they're like slimmer slices of cheese. They're not terribly fat. The larger wedges are good if you've got a very thick log, but they're a lot heavier, and also they go out more quickly as a triangle, so these slot in a bit slimmer. You can see why our ancestors would have prepared timber this way, because it's quite quick compared to sawing. There we are, we're done. So one nice new cut there in the log. As I say, you can see where the branches of the tree were. The grain goes out a bit. That's not too much of a problem. Certainly not for the legs, because for say an 18-inch, 20-inch leg, I've got a very nice straight section there. I can get some more legs or spindles or stretchers out of this portion here. Again, pretty nice, and one can obviously keep on splitting this to get the smaller components. Yeah, I'm just sawing off some billets now so that we can get them roughly to leg length. That's one. Onto the other. Ideally I would have what's called a brake now, which I could use to actually wedge the wood in to hold it as I push on my foot. But it's a short billet, so I'm able to do it fairly happily by hand.